Joe Biden displays his fragility while walking upstairs. Candace Owens and Cardi B have a little petty feud, and most importantly, we're back to the gun buyback narrative. But first, everybody grab your drink, let's sit back and enjoy the intro. How are you doing, everybody? This is the Recon coming to you from Narnia over here with the lion and the witch and the wardrobe, just chilling out. I've been meaning to make videos lately, but I had surgery on a completely torn ligament, and the pain and medicine has been demotivating and not giving me enough energy to do one of these videos, so I'm back on it. If I seem a little off, that's why. I wanted to do a full video on the Candace Owens and Cardi B controversy, but it's a little bit too late now. I tried a couple times and my energy just wasn't there, so I think I'll go over it a little bit in a moment. First, we gotta start with this one. We just have to. So let's watch the video of Biden falling up the stairs. Oh man. It's not even easy to watch, quite frankly. I don't want to watch it. I saw it one time, and I kind of did a double take to make sure what I was seeing was actually happening. It had been when I'd been out for a few days, and when I watched it maybe the third time, I was like, okay, this is real, and this is pretty fucked up. Like, it's cruel. If my dad, God forbid, was walking upstairs and fell like this, I wouldn't keep taking him out. I wouldn't have him go up large flights of stairs. I wouldn't have him, I don't know, speak in front of groups of people, especially if he can barely speak in front of groups of people for more than 2 minutes at a time. But I guess the necromancer was off duty that day and he started to collapse or something like that. Is this a big issue? It could be if the health of our president is constantly declining, but we knew who we were electing when we elected him. At least we should have, and if we didn't, that's our fault. One good thing about democracy, if you want to call it a good thing, is that the voters, they get who they deserve. So I guess if a walking corpse that needs a necromancer to help animate him is what we deserve, then that's what we deserve. The more important issue is how it was covered. Now, I could go through article after article after article covering if the fall was bad, if it wasn't really that bad, they blamed it on the wind. But I think the biggest thing here is the way CNN covers this. So this is great. So let's just look at this. White House says Biden is 100% fine after he tripped boarding Air Force One. I think what they meant to say is tripped 3 times halfway up the stairs and literally fell onto his side. I mean, let's watch that again. Literally falls onto his side. That's kind of far. You're like, ooh, man. Hope he's alright. You know? Nobody looked at that and went, oh yeah, he's fine. But I guess if the White House says it, that's what's important. It might be that broken foot that he has from when he tripped over his dog. We're not even half a year into this presidency, guys. Okay, let's read what CNN had to say when Trump walked slowly down a wet ramp. Why the Donald Trump West Point ramp story actually matters. And you'll see here, they give a video. No video? They give a video for Trump, so you can see him slowly walking down the ramp. Now let's watch him slowly walk down this ramp.
President Trump is facing some new questions about his health after an unsteady walk down a ramp after his commencement speech at West Point this weekend. The president responded to internet speculation about the incident. He tweeted that the ramp was long and steep and slippery and said that he did not want to fall and give the media anything else to, quote, have fun with.
All right, that was that. And that actually matters. Although, let's watch this fall. I'm sorry. I don't like what it's hard to look at, but it's kind of funny. I kind of want to keep watching this fall. So let's watch it one more time. Boom. And that doesn't matter. He's 100% fine. But Trump slowly walks down a ramp and all hell breaks loose. Not only that, we'll do a quick Google search. I typed in Trump walks slowly CNN. That's all I typed in, okay? We see right off the bat 4 different videos of CNN newscasters covering this story and then their article on it. Now, if you type in, and we'll do this together, you can grab your computer, join in. It's an interactive video, I guess. Biden falls, CNN. All I typed in, you get 0. I'm going to say that again. Some of y'all didn't catch that. Multiple of 0 videos from CNN. And you have 1 article and it's saying that he's fine. I'm just saying it's ridiculous, the bias in the coverage. I used to think it wasn't much of a problem, but you know, like when we found out after Biden was elected that his son had been investigated since 2018 because their journalists finally decided to look into it because now it's an important issue. You know, things like that where sometimes they talk about his declining health now. It's frustrating because I don't necessarily even want to be conservative in the way that I am. Socially conservative, sure, but I want to be able to trust my news sources. I don't want to have to go to conservative news sources. I would like there to be an unbiased one. And that's what I tried to do in junior high, high school, that type of thing. But it's just becoming more and more evident that I can't trust any single news source. And I think the American citizen, the average American citizen, is realizing that now too. And if not, they will be very shortly. This is why people like Ben Shapiro, Tim Pool, you know, all these newscasters, why they're blowing up. Andy No, I'm a shout out to him. He's really putting in that work. All right, let's get to the real story we all want to talk about here. And that's Cardi B and Candace Owen engaged in an epic Twitter battle. Now, it was really hard to find the actual tweets in a news article, and I had found them quite a while ago, but to be honest with you, it's not worth my time anymore. Most of us have heard about this and have heard multiple different sides to it. I'll just cover the important parts. In a moment, I'll get to why this is actually happening, why this blew up, and why CNN has to cover it. So Cardi B did some softcore porn during the Grammys. I mean, that's obviously what it was during her song WAP. Candace Owen tweeted at her and said that she was a bad influence on the people that she claims to be empowering. They went back and forth quite a while. Just the type of stuff you would expect. They tried to pull up old tweets and come at each other. Cardi B found an obviously doctored tweet of Candace Owens where Candace Owens is saying that her husband cheated on her with her brother and she asked to join and they said no. Again, obviously doctored. I'm pretty sure I could pick out any 12-year-old kid and they'd be able to tell me that that was doctored. And that's what Candace Owens responded, and Cardi B said, it's obviously real. At least I think that's what she said. I couldn't quite decipher her strange use of the partial English language. Anyway, Candace Owens threatened to sue Cardi B for defamation of her brother, who is not a public figure. For those of you who don't know how the defamation law works, if you're a public figure, the rules apply differently. You can only be sued for defamation if it actually affected your income stream if you're a public figure. And you have to prove, obviously, it was a lie. That's how the law goes. But since her brother is not a public figure, she can sue Cardi B. And Cardi B threatened to sue Candace Owens for saying that she doctored a tweet. Now, Candace Owens never said that Cardi B had doctored the tweet, and Cardi B is a public figure. So Cardi B would have to prove that it was a lie that she didn't say anyway, and prove that it affected her income stream. So she was obviously just trying to be catty there. Anyway, all of this is fairly insignificant. I could go into what I think about the scandalous performance or the points that either one of them made, but I don't care enough to. Maybe if I had made a full video about this, I would, but right now I don't want to spend the time on that. What I do want to spend the time talking about is the decay of our Hollywood and media overlords. It's rather funny. We have a free market, which is phenomenal. In that free market, it finds the best items and the best news sources and the best this, that, and the other, and it holds it above all else. And the worst usually fail, and the people that produce those worst things now have to find something else to produce or make their item better. So why the hell is CNN covering a epic Twitter battle between Cardi B and Candace Owens over the Grammys. Well, one, the Grammys have the lowest ratings they have ever had. They needed some scandal to try to get the ratings up, perhaps next year, so people may watch it. They're not going to watch it to watch the Grammys. Nobody cares about celebrities patting each other on the back and saying that they're great, especially when they put in super woke hierarchy rules for who can win. They put in woke guidelines. They only put up the people that kind of appease the current woke mob, and it's honestly just rather boring. The point is that saying extremely famous should be on a plaque somewhere. Oh, what is it? Oh yeah, get woke, go broke. But why did CNN have to cover it? Well, their views are down 50%. 50% because Trump's gone. And we'll get into implications of that in a moment, but they are struggling to find out how to get more views. They are slowly dying, while places like the Daily Wire, The Blaze, Timcast, Mug Club, all those places are rapidly growing in view and income. They're taking over because people trust them more. They haven't been proven to lie over and over and over again in only one direction and just to continuously double down on it. Not to mention, their integrity as reporters is declining constantly as well. I'm sure you'll remember the Cuomo brothers on TV making jokes at each other during the virus, calling Andrew Cuomo the best governor in the United States, mainly because he bashes Trump. Later we found out, well, I want to say later, but really we found it out extremely early. They just refused to report on it. But later we found out that Andrew Cuomo put in horrible, likely illegal policy where he would ship sick people with COVID back into nursing homes. And we found out that Cuomo made threats to hush people about this horrible policy. Then there was some sexual scandals and stuff like that with him, but none of them seemed extremely bad in my opinion. I think they were just a cover up because these news organizations need a way to push him as far away from them as they can, and that's just a way to cover up for his horrible policies that they praised all throughout the virus lockdowns. It got to the point where I would be talking to just regular, generally non-political friends or people, and they would bring up how great of a job New York is doing and how horrible of a job Florida is doing. And I was always very confused because, just objectively speaking, there are a lot more deaths per million in New York than Florida. I mean, a lot. And Florida's like the second oldest state in the United States. And out of rather big states, it's definitely the oldest state. But we don't have to get into policy. I want to focus more on the media bias. So what are some of the implications of this high drop in views since Trump left? Well, two things that we know. CNN pops off when people are scared and they think that there is a big problem. The issue is that the Democrats elected a walking corpse, and CNN absolutely loves to praise him. So where do they go next? Well, they need a new villain. CNN set out this analysis, calling Tucker Carlson the new Donald Trump. Tucker Carlson's the new Donald Trump, CNN's chief media correspondent Brian Stelter said on Reliable Sources Sunday. Isn't that great? He said on Reliable Sources. God. I haven't heard a name so ironic since, I don't know, Jumbo Shrimp or something like that. Anyway, Carlson is practically the face of Fox News as he hosts the top show on the network. Not only the top show on the network, I believe the top show of all... Wait, let me think. I believe the top show of all mainstream media. With Republicans out of power in the White House and Congress, Stelter argues that Carlson has filled the void Trump left when he was out of office. What void is that? Well, you know what? Let's let him speak. Tucker Carlson has taken Trump's place as a right-wing leader, as an outrage generator. Let me read that again. As an outrage generator, as a fire starter. And it's all taking place on Fox, just as Trump's campaign did. Every day, Carlson is throwing bombs, making online memes, offending millions of people, also delighting millions of others, tapping into white male rage and resentment, stoking distrust of big tech and the media, Wow, weird. Well, it's a good thing we have reliable sources to debunk that, huh? Generally coercing the discourse, never apologizing for anything, and setting the GOP's agenda. Sounds like a recently retired president, right? Now, what is this all about? Well, what did he say this in response to? He said this in response to Tucker Carlson poking fun at Biden coming out and saying that one of his plans for the military is to provide body armor for pregnant women. And he compares this to the statement that China recently made, where they said that their men are becoming less feminine and they need to find a way to make the military more masculine or they might start losing wars. Did I think any of this was super important, newsworthy, especially for like a week? Not really. Doesn't bother me much either way. But they are absolutely correct. I'm going to say that again just so you guys can quote me. CNN is absolutely correct. This is on CNN Business. That they are trying to make Tucker Carlson into the new Donald Trump because their views are down. They need it. Let me read this to you one last time just to get it across. Tucker has taken Trump's place as a right-wing leader, as an outrage generator, as a fire starter. As an outrage generator because they need that. They need the outrage. Donald Trump said 2 great things during his presidency. The first was that he wanted to buy Greenland. That was only great because that whole scandal is phenomenal. I mean, just phenomenal. Really, if you want a good laugh, go look that up. The second great thing was that he posted a tweet with him doing the Uncle Sam point, you know what I'm talking about? Where he said, they don't hate you because they hate me. They hate me because they hate you. Absolutely correct. Print that out, put it on your wall. We shouldn't be flying Trump flags. We should be flying flags that say, they don't hate you because they hate me. They hate me because they hate you. There's nothing truer. And this is showing it. They lost Donald Trump. They latch on to the next biggest conservative they can find. And they will keep doing this until they've convinced everybody. I say until. They'll keep doing this to convince everybody that all conservatives are evil. It's a bad look to accuse half of the country of being evil. Pretty bad look. Probably one of the reasons Hillary Clinton lost. So instead of doing that, they point to somebody that has these views. They find one target and they say, that man is evil. And they'll find every little thing about them that they can. I don't know if you remember, a while ago, some clips came out of Tucker Carlson on Bubba the Love Sponge, which is a shock jock type of show. And he said some arguably sexist things. And they were trying to cancel him hardcore. I remember people on my Facebook going hard at him. And I listened to all the clips they posted. I like to do that type of stuff. So I sat back and I listened to them. There was nothing that bad in it. I mean, there was a few not great things. And there are a lot of things that I would never say. But I'm not the shock jock type of person. But we could easily do that with Chris Cuomo. We could easily do that with people over at New York Times. I'm spending a lot of time right now on these small stories, and the reason I'm doing it is because I want to show you how much coverage and how much attention that CNN, and I use CNN as like an example for the mainstream media. You could probably do the same thing with New York Times, New York Post, that type of stuff. But I think CNN is the biggest name, so I like to use them to give the examples. And I want to show you how desperate they are. They're falling off the edge of the cliff here. And they're scraping, and they're trying to stay up, and I want to show you guys that. And there is a reason that they're falling off that cliff. Let's get to the real big story of the past week, and that's these 2 mass shootings. The most recent one killing 10 people, and the one prior, I believe, killing 8, if I'm not mistaken. Total of 18 people dead. Now, it's been a while. I know it's been relaxing not having constant news coverage of mass shootings, and it's been nice and calming, to be honest. But it's back, and I'm covering it. Obviously, these shootings are horrible, but the response to both of them was exactly the same. What was the response? Well, Mina Harris put out a tweet that I think covers it fairly well. Let's read part of this article by The Print. Now, this is Kamala Harris's daughter. Mina Harris trolled for anti-white racism after she gets Colorado shooter ID wrong. Deletes tweet. Now let's read it. The tweet claimed that, quote, violent white men are the, quote, greatest terrorist threat to the U.S. However, after police revealed that the gunman was of Syrian descent, Mina deleted the tweet, explaining that she had assumed the predator was white since he was taken into custody alive, and that the majority of mass shootings in the country are carried out by white men. Here's the tweet. The Atlanta shooting was not even a week ago. Violent white men are the greatest terrorist threat to our country. She deleted that tweet and responded with, I deleted a previous tweet about the suspect in the border shooting. I made an assumption based on his being taken into custody alive and the fact that the majority of mass shootings in the U.S. are carried out by white men. What is she apologizing for? Is she apologizing that she took a race of people and called that group terrorists? Is she apologizing that the assumption itself was wrong and her conclusion from that assumption was wrong? Or is she apologizing that she assumed the wrong thing? But if that person had been a white male, then she would have no reason to apologize. I think it's the latter. You guys can debate me on that if you want, but I don't think there's a lot of evidence showing that she's apologizing for her racism. She's just apologizing for having assumed the wrong race. Now, there aren't very many of these covered mass shootings per year, which kind of makes you question why they don't cover every single one of them. There were 7 mass shootings in 7 days, they say, but only 2 of them were really covered on news. So let's read to find out what the other ones were. CNN. The mass shooting at a supermarket in Boulder, Colorado on Monday took place less than a week after 8 people were killed in a series of attacks in Atlanta. Those are the 2 we know about. The 2 incidents are likely to spur discussion about gun control legislation in the United States, where firearm deaths are tragically common. They are also among at least 7 mass shootings in the past week across the United States, including 3 incidents on Saturday alone. Gee, I wonder where those took place. CNN defines a mass shooting as a shooting incident in which results in 4 or more casualties, dead or wounded, excluding the shooter. On Tuesday, we had Atlanta, Georgia. 8 people, including 6 Asian women, were killed when a white gunman stormed 3 spas, police said. Wednesday, March 17th, Stockton, California. 5 people who were preparing a vigil in Stockton in California's Central Valley were shot in a drive-by shooting. I'm not going to try to pronounce that, Sheriff's Department said. None had life-threatening injuries. Wait a minute, we're missing something here. Oh, well, maybe they missed the race. We'll go to the next one. One on Thursday, Gresham, Oregon. 4 victims were taken to the hospital after a shooting in the city of East Portland, police said in an initial report. Wait, what race were the people killed? What race was the person shooting? It's missing. Okay, wait, whatever. Maybe this will be a pattern, maybe not. Let's keep reading. Houston, Texas. 5 people were shot after a disturbance inside a club, according to police. 1 was in critical condition after being shot in the neck. The rest were in stable condition. Dallas. 8 people were shot by an unknown assailant, 1 of whom died, according to police. Philadelphia. 1 person was killed, and another 5 were injured during a shooting at an illegal party, CNN affiliate KYW reported. There are at least 150 people in there that fled and believed that they had to flee for their lives. And now we are to Monday, March 22nd, where 10 people, including a Boulder police officer, were killed in the shooting at the King supermarket, according to police. Now, I know what you're thinking. There was only 1 in there that included any race of any person, and it was a white gunman, and the 6 Asian people shot. White gunman, minority victims. Okay. Now, I don't know the races of these people, because they don't tell me. And I could spend the time looking them up and waste even more of your time on this specific controversy, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave the assumption to you. My guess is they're probably not white. So why do people think that, and I quote, violent white men are the greatest terrorist threat to our country? Why is that? I'm going to leave that conclusion to you. I'm not going to make that conclusion for you. I'm not going to think for you. But go, look into it. Why do people think this? Why are we electing people who think this? Why can you openly say this? Okay. We like to talk about systemic problems. More specifically, we like to talk about systemic racism. The definition of which, by Cambridge's dictionary, is policies and practices that exist throughout a whole society or organization and that result in and support a continued unfair advantage to some people and unfair or harmful treatment of others based on race. Policies or practices. So the focus is on two different things: policies and practices. I can name off a few, like affirmative action. I can name off a few being proposed, like slavery reparations. But I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on other systemic problems. We like to say systemic, so I'm going to keep using it. Maybe that'll become a banned word on YouTube if I keep using it. Biden seeks, this is by New York Times, Biden seeks assault weapon ban and background checks. Okay. We already have background checks, but assault weapon bans only in some places. And whatever assault weapon ban means. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to Forbes. See what he means. Biden administration urges Supreme Court to let cops enter homes and seize guns without a warrant. Sorry. Let me read that one more time. Maybe you didn't get it. Biden administration urges Supreme Court to let cops enter homes and seize guns without a warrant. Obviously, this would have stopped the Breonna Taylor shooting, right? Right? I couldn't see any incident of that happening again with this policy. Okay, but this is Forbes saying it. So let's go see what CNN has to say about it. Biden pushes House-passed gun reform in the wake of Colorado mass shooting. We'll watch this little video he gives.
Our hearts go out for the survivors. The consequences of all this are deeper than I suspect we know. By that I mean the mental consequences, the feeling of, anyway, it's just been through too many of these. The second point I want to make is my deepest thanks to the heroic police and other first responders who acted so quickly to address the situation. And to state the obvious, I commend the exceptional bravery of Officer Eric Talley. You know, when he pinned on that badge yesterday morning, he didn't know what the day would bring. I want everybody to think about this. Every time an officer walks out of his or her home and pins that badge on, the family member that they just said goodbye to wonders whether they'll subconsciously, will they get that call? This is the one thing I do know enough to say on in terms of what's happened there. I don't need to wait another minute, let alone an hour. We can ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines in this country once again. I got that done when I was a senator. We should do it again. We can close the loopholes in our background check system, and we have to act. We should also ban assault weapons in the process. We can save lives, increasing the background checks so that they're supposed to occur, and eliminating assault weapons and the size of magazines. We don't know all the detail yet on that.
Well, this horrible tragedy happened, but I can say one thing for sure. It's time to take away your Second Amendment right and allow police to warrantlessly enter your house to confiscate a gun. That was one of the only two things that I deciphered out of that broken speech. God, it's like listening to a white male Cardi B try to talk. Only other thing is I had no idea that Joe Biden was part of the Blue Lives movement. That's kind of comforting. Well, he knows for sure that he wants to ban those assault weapons. Now, he hasn't decided what's an assault weapon. He hasn't decided what size magazine is bad. You know, when it turns from being a good weapon of defense to being, oh no, scary assault weapon. You can't identify it. You know, it's kind of like cancel culture. It doesn't exist, but I sure like it. One thing he says at the end there, I don't know if you caught it, but one thing he says at the end there is, we need to pass these laws. I'll play the clip in a moment. But what I got from it was, we need to pass these new laws to ensure that our old laws are being enforced.
Increasing the background checks so that they're supposed to occur.
That's not how any of this works. If you have the old laws and they're not being enforced, then passing the new laws is not going to make you enforce those old laws. If these people are already not doing their job, they're not just going to do their job because you sign a bill. If he even signs a bill, Here we have the New York Times saying White House weighs executive orders on gun control, so he might just try to go on the outside of Congress to get this passed. Meanwhile, gun sales are going way up. I'll go ahead and give my evaluation, and then I'll cut this long video to an end. I want you guys to remember what the Fourth Amendment right is for. You'll be gaslighted a lot of times to say it's for hunting or it's for self-protection. And while those things are great, that is not why we have the right to bear arms. The right to bear arms was passed as a threat to the government that if they get too pervasive, we could always fight back. Many people don't know that the Japanese were debating a land attack on the United States when they attacked Pearl Harbor. When asked why they didn't invade, they gave a simple reply. There's a gun behind every blade of grass. And that's a warning to them. That's a warning to any invasive country. And just as importantly, that's a warning to our government. It's hard to go full authoritarian when the threat of 350 million guns is behind your opposition. Perhaps if Germany had the Fourth Amendment, none of us would know the name of Anne Frank. Perhaps if the USSR had the Fourth Amendment, none of us would know the book, The Gulag Archipelago. As a horrible dictator once said, political power grows out of the barrel of a gun. They aren't trying to take it away because it'll save lives. A lot of studies show it would even cost more lives to ban them, but that's not why the government wants to take them away from you. You don't go to politicians for empathy. You go to them for coercion. You go to them for political power, and that's exactly what they're looking for here. There's a reason that CNN still refuses to criticize the current administration. There's a dystopia at the other end of this battle. And we're so irresponsible and afraid that we're willing to let go of our freedoms for the vision of this dystopia. Pay attention to the news. Pay attention to what's happening. But keep your head down, go to work, and become a responsible person. Because that's the only way to fight this. If you think electing another politician who wants to give you everything in the world is going to solve this problem, it's going to solve any problem, then you're a part of the problem. So put your head down. Go work on yourself. Help your friends work on themselves. Become the better person you know that you can be. Because it's not for you. It's for this country. Anyway, guys, I'm the Reasonable Conservative. This has been, I don't know, the Recon's Rebuttal. Y'all like that one? Yeah. Maybe that's what I'll start calling them. And I appreciate you guys watching. Go ahead and throw down a like, a subscribe, hit that bell, throw a comment down below. Tell me you hate me. Tell me you love me. Tell me what you think about what I had to say. Share my videos with your friends. Spread them around. And maybe go check out my Instagram and Patreon account. I try to keep my Instagram updated, and I am working on benefits for my Patreon. But most importantly, keep your head down, keep working on becoming the best person you know you can be, and have a great day.